what is the definitive proof that Blizzard is not only censoring any sexual or potentially offensive content from the original Diablo 2 game in Resurrected, but are going to outright bizarre and, let's be honest, unjustifiable lengths to do so? I have covered some of these concerns before, and for the cliff notes, the original developers have spoken out against the censorship of Diablo 2 Resurrected, from the characters being toned down, the previously cheeky Amazon and assassins covered up thigh armor, or the sorceress having her sly underboob removed, as well as other subtle yet prevalent censorship. I want to take a moment and say, look, I understand some of these changes, I really do, but it's not about disagreeing or agreeing, it's about changing the original developer's work and desexualizing it when Blizzard's own PR team have stated all 3 Diablo games have an M rating which allows nudity and gore. And when questioned about the succubi pre-Diablo 3, the then community manager of Diablo, Lylirra, furthermore went on to state no organization has ever demanded Blizzard Entertainment make censored versions of monsters in either of the 3 games. So, this is a mature title where nudity and gore is allowed, and Blizzard have stated that they themselves are untethered or unbound by restrictions or ratings, which begs the question, why censor Diablo 2 Resurrected a remaster when it should be one for one with the original? However, some people still in the comments have reacted with the woof, the hill some people are willing to die on. I like that they said woof and they have a picture of a dog. It's like the dog's talking, but still, I'll go the extra mile to give you my perspective. I can critique an aspect of a game or product and still support it. My goal is to keep people informed to make their own decisions versus go in blind and call out things that I think are totally unnecessary. But if you still think creators shouldn't bring up valid concerns and are happy to pay a premium for whatever Blizzard shovels out, well, Merry Christmas. But for all of you who are simple, hard-working, honest folk, not ready to be pushed around by corporate shills and hypocrites, and by extension, concerned about Resurrected maintaining the integrity of the original Diablo 2 developer's vision of a masterpiece, well, here at Integrity Lore Dash, I'ma just show you 3 pretty goddamn inconsiderate examples of changes for you to consider. But seriously, these changes are insane. Number 1. Look, man, I'm not a monster. Credit where credit is due. Diablo 2 Resurrected has done a great job at upgrading some of the previously pixelated graphics, such as the inscrutable writing on the temple exteriors, now upgraded in Resurrected, and the developers have made just a smattering blur of pixels into an enjoyable, decipherable inscription. However, in the Halls of the Dead, for example, we see the statue goes from a sitting woman with her chest exposed, reminiscent of Egyptian art consistent with the region, and arguably totally normal, right? Not only in the real world, but art in general, especially statues, which are rarely regarded as modest. But what about in Resurrected? Cover it up. In a baffling move, when switching between the 2 modes, we see that some genius artist decided that even statues needed to be censored, as her arms are now crossed to hide her chest. What's worse is, you can just press G on PC and toggle between the 2 modes. It's just so blatant and confusing. That's like the statue of David being censored. It's not even a person, it's just a statue. Speaking of censored art, if you don't actually understand why I'm arguing about this or why it's a big deal, if you'd be so kind as to indulge me a moment to fully illustrate why I believe this is a slap in the face to the original artists. Imagine that instead of Diablo 2 Resurrected, Blizzard acquired the famous art piece, the Mona Lisa. And previously, due to, let's say, technological constraints, Da Vinci's original version was pixelated, and Blizzard acquired the rights of the timeless art piece, and were then looking to sell a digitized version of the Mona Lisa, promising to upgrade its graphics for new and old fans alike. A customer interested would probably have the same desires as Diablo 2 Resurrected fans. 1. That Blizzard only enhance the picture's graphical fidelity if possible with cutting-edge technology. 2. Respect the original creator's work. Even if I didn't agree with it, I'd argue that any deviation away from Da Vinci's masterpiece, to me anyway, would smack of arrogance. Imagine thinking you know better than Da Vinci himself and making wanton changes because of your own updated agenda, like making, say, her chest smaller, making her uglier, older, etc. Whatever new values that you want to project onto a timeless classic that the fan base doesn't want. They want a one-for-one of the Mona Lisa, but upgraded. Now, people, of course, would be furious, questioning how dare the artists mess with a timeless classic that they expect fans to happily pay for, as if they think they know better than Da Vinci. Now, imagine if Blizzard went a step further and crudely stuck a cutout of Lucy Liu's face on Mona Lisa's for some reason or agenda that they won't reveal to their customers. Now, I can hear people already say, Dash, come on, man, reel it back. That's absurd. They'd never do that. You know what? You're right. They'd never do that. On to number 2. One of the persistent mysteries of Act 2 was how Jaren, the local ruler of Loot Golane, locked up the palace and forbade the player to enter early on. Rumors circulated around town.
The only thing in Jaren's cellar are the harem girls that have been hiding there since the troubles began.
It's later learned by the player that an arcane sanctuary's portal was opened beneath the cellar. Jaren was forced to lock down the palace, and the guards tried with little luck to hold the demons at bay, and the poor harem girls' corpses decorated the walls. All the while, the townsfolk thought that the dirty despot Jaren had the harem girls in there for all manner of debauchery, leaving the town to its fate.
News of the tragedy in the palace is spreading fast. How awful. And to think, this whole time I thought Jaren and his guards were in there playing with the harem girls.
And I hear you saying, Dash, it's a great story. What's wrong with that? It's rich and compelling narrative that has intrigue and mystery. Plus, we later learn that the mad summoner responsible is none other than the sorcerer from D1, Mind Blown. When I say mind blown, I mean I feel bad caving his head in, but a little less bad because he's wearing those dumb Vajera pajamas.
Oh, I hate staining my hands with the blood of foul sorcerers.
But how, pray tell, has Resurrected ruined this quest? Well, let me ask you a question. What do you call a harem with no prostitutes? The answer is a boring building. During his livestream, Doomscream, who you should give a follow, was the man who uncovered the boobyless statues, and so he investigated the harem levels to see if the visceral, bloody corpses of the poor ladies appeared in Resurrected as they did in the original, and nothing. Now here is why this is a double whammy of censorship disappointment. One of the things I would say that Resurrected has actually done well is flesh out the areas more than the original, like the Den of Evil, for example. Corpsefire, the first unique zombie you encounter, is just that, a zombie with a few friends. But because we learned that Andariel created the Den as a staging ground for an imminent attack on the rogue encampment, Resurrected's artists added a mining camp in the cave, which paints a great visual picture of Corpsefire being a miner and with his friends being attacked, killed, and then turned to serve Andariel. And it's a beautiful piece of storytelling that adds to the original. It complements it. So to do the opposite and rip out an important chunk of visual storytelling, you have to ask yourself why. Your guess is as good as mine, which takes us to the third and final questionable piece of censorship from Resurrected.
Horizon's urinal? Oh, journal. Yes, well, glad you found it. Such a shame about those poor harem girls, huh? I shall miss them deeply. I mean, their conversations, of course.
When I put up the side-by-side comparison of the Diablo 2 cinematic and Resurrected, fans had flocked to question the validity of a glaring omission. See, in the original cinematic, Marius, a poor sap caught in the primeval's machinations, takes refuge at the rogue citadel. During his opium-induced nightmares, he's periodically served by a disgruntled dwarf who has a certain disdain for Marius's sad state. Now, me and my mate used to always say to each other, "Do you want something?" as the memorable character did.
Do you want something?
He was a bit of a favorite. Now the problem is, in Resurrected's take on the character, the server is, for lack of a better word, a compact person. See, I use the term dwarf not like Lord of the Rings, but instead he's a little person clearly affected by dwarfism, and there's nothing wrong with that. The character is great with his small screen time, albeit suffers a gruesome fate as the other inhabitants of the hostel do. But in Resurrected, the man still bears short status, but he doesn't look normal. It looks like he's been rendered normally, and then they've compacted his model. They've clearly shied away from the dwarfism look of his more, say, bow legs and other hallmarks. Now, I'm not saying this to belittle the bartender by any means, and I don't see anything wrong with his portrayal in the original. He's just a dude serving drinks to a lot of people who are lost and kind of hopeless. And he seems to be neither of those things. So to erase a dwarf seems, I can't believe I'm using this term, but ableist. I don't know, like, that's a minority that was cool, and because he died maybe, they decided he shouldn't be a dwarf? It's perplexing. But I'm here to showcase the changes and let you come to your own answers. Maybe there's something I'm overlooking. But that is the 3 pieces of proof of Resurrected censorship. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below or further discussion on social media, as well as our Discord. We are over 700 strong. Thanks for watching, and as always, until next time, traveler.
Why did I follow him? I don't know. Why do things happen as they do in dreams? All I know is that when he beckoned, I had to follow him. And from that moment, we traveled together east. Always into the east.